Dark chosen ones, you were born to enter places light ones fear to go. You were never meant to fit in with the light. You tried, didn't you? You mimicked their smiles. You spoke their words. You followed their paths, hoping that somehow they would lead you to peace. But peace never came. You were restless in their temples, uncomfortable in their rituals, and empty in their certainties. Because you are not one of them. You are one of the dark chosen ones. You were born to enter places the light ones fear to go, not because you are evil or broken, but because you carry the strength to walk where others collapse. You see, darkness is not the absence of light. It is the place where truth is raw, where illusions are stripped away, and where power is forged in silence and solitude. Most people avoid it. You were called to it. This is not a metaphor. You've felt it. Even as a child, you sensed things others did not. You could feel the undercurrents in a room, the pain behind people's smiles. You knew when something was off, even if no one said a word. And when you tried to speak of it, they told you to be quiet, to stop being so sensitive, to smile more, to fit in. But you couldn't, not really, because the darkness inside you wasn't a flaw. It was a compass, a voice whispering, "There is more, deeper, further, keep going."
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
What if I told you that your suffering was not in vain? That your depression, your anxiety, your isolation, those weren't signs of failure. They were invitations, sacred initiations. Every time you were broken, a piece of your false self shattered. Every time you felt lost, the pathless way was opening. Every sleepless night, every tear you couldn't explain, every moment you felt like giving up was actually preparing you, strengthening you for what you were born to do. Because not everyone can walk into the abyss and come out with light in their hands, but you can. Why do you think you've always been drawn to the mysterious, the occult, the hidden teachings? Why do you crave solitude, silence, the unexplained? It's because your soul remembers. It remembers lifetimes of walking between worlds, of dancing with shadows, of learning not to fear the dark, but to listen to it. You were never meant to be a follower of the light, but a bearer of the flame that can only be lit in pitch-black night. This path isn't glamorous, it's not showy, it's not filled with praise and validation. It's lonely, it's brutal, but it's real, and you've always preferred the real, haven't you? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you let yourself feel the full weight of your pain? Not run from it, not numb it, but truly face it. Because that pain holds secrets. That pain is your teacher. In the darkness of your most unbearable moments is a voice that says you are not lost. You are being remade. The light ones, bless them, need structure, need affirmation, need the safety of belief. But you are being called to know. Not believe. Know. And knowledge at this level costs. It costs comfort. It costs illusion. It costs everything that isn't aligned with your true nature. You may have noticed how the world seems to be falling apart. Systems are crumbling, truth is being twisted, fear is rising, and while many run to the light for protection, for comfort, for salvation, You are being summoned into the chaos, because the real work is not done in temples of certainty. It is done in the wild, in the shadows, in the places where truth screams so loud it breaks your bones. This is where dark chosen ones are needed, not to fix the world, not to save it, but to see it, to see through the illusions, to witness the truth, no matter how terrifying, and to hold that truth without judgment. You might think, how can I do that when I'm still healing, still scared, still unsure? But here's the paradox. It's your wounds that make you worthy, your fears that make you wise, your uncertainty that makes you open. The light ones seek perfection, but you are being asked to be whole, to embrace both your divinity and your darkness, to stop trying to transcend and instead descend into your body, into your grief, into the parts of you you've been taught to hate. Because only when you integrate your shadows do you become truly powerful. This path will test everything. You will lose people, you will be misunderstood, you will be mocked, ignored, even feared, but you will also see. You will see the patterns that bind the world. You will feel the energies behind words. You will know when someone is lying, even if they don't. You will sense the soul beneath the surface, and most importantly, you will begin to remember who you are. Not a name, not a role, but a force, a presence, a spark of the eternal that chose a path of fire to bring light to places long forgotten. Have you ever wondered why you were born into your particular life? Your family, your trauma, your struggles. It wasn't random. It was designed. Every wound, every betrayal, every heartbreak was a key, not to punish you, but to unlock you. You are not here to escape the world, you are here to transform it from the inside out, but only by going deeper, not higher, deeper, into the mud, into the grief, into the rage, into the parts of yourself that you were taught to fear, because that is where your power lives, not above, below. If you're still here, still listening, then you already know something most people don't. You feel it in your bones. You were never meant to just survive. You were meant to initiate, to awaken, to pass through the fire and come out on the other side with eyes that see everything and a heart that can hold it all. Not just the love and the light, but the despair, the violence, the chaos, because you are not here to be comfortable. You are here to be real, to be true, to be whole. But ask yourself this: what would happen if you stopped hiding your darkness? If you stopped apologizing for your depth? If you stopped shrinking to make others comfortable? What if your shadows were not your shame, but your superpower? What if the very things you were taught to bury were the exact tools you needed to fulfill your soul's mission? You are not broken, you are becoming, and the world needs you, not as a replica of the light ones, but as the flame that walks into the unknown with nothing but truth in your hands and love in your heart. This is your path. This is your calling. This is why you were born. Initiation through fire, the sacred trials that shape the dark chosen. There comes a moment in every dark chosen one's life when everything they thought they knew begins to fall apart. The job that once felt secure crumbles. The relationships that seemed solid dissolve. The beliefs that held you together no longer make sense. It feels like death, and in a way it is, but not the kind of death the world mourns. This is a sacred death, the death of the false self, the ego, the mask, a rite of passage that strips you bare, not to punish you, but to initiate you. This is the fire, and no one escapes it. The light ones run from it, hide behind doctrines, rituals, and affirmations, but for us, for the ones who carry the darkness in our bones, this fire is our temple. You may have already been through this fire, perhaps more than once. Maybe you lost everything. Maybe you were abandoned, betrayed, humiliated. Maybe your health collapsed, your mind fractured, your will broke into dust. And in those moments, you probably wondered, why me? What did I do to deserve this? But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. In fact, you were chosen precisely because of your capacity to endure such trials and alchemize them into wisdom. The universe doesn't waste energy. Every collapse, every breakdown, every dark night of the soul was crafted with divine precision to awaken something inside you that comfort never could. You see, the fire doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you, to burn away the illusion of who you thought you were so the truth of your being can emerge, untamed, unapologetic, and unshakably real. The fire strips you down until all that's left is essence, and from that essence you begin to rebuild, not from programming, not from fear, not from imitation, but from truth. And truth, unlike belief, doesn't need to be defended, it just is. But let me ask you something deeply uncomfortable. What have you not yet grieved? What pain still lives in your body, unspoken, unfelt, unacknowledged? Because the fire will find it. It will dig it up. It will bring you face to face with every unprocessed wound, every lie you've told yourself, every memory you tried to forget. And in that confrontation, you will be given a choice. Not to run. Not to numb, but to feel, to surrender, to let it move through you without resistance. That is the true initiation, not in temples or retreats, but in the raw, trembling honesty of your own inner world. This journey is not linear. Some days you will feel like you've transcended your pain, only for it to rise again in a new form. That's not failure, that's depth. The deeper you go, the more you uncover, and each layer you shed brings you closer to your core, to the unbreakable part of you that has survived every storm. You are not weak for breaking. You are sacred for continuing, for choosing to rise again and again, even with your heart in pieces and your spirit weary. And yet, even in the fire, there is beauty. There are moments of clarity so pure they take your breath away. There are whispers from your soul that remind you why you're here. There are glimpses of your power that feel ancient and undeniable. Because as the fire burns away what is false, it also activates what is true. Your gifts begin to awaken. Your intuition sharpens. Your dreams become more vivid. Your presence becomes magnetic. You no longer chase purpose. It pours out of you, not because you're trying to be someone, but because you've finally stopped being who you're not. So many people talk about healing like it's a destination, a point you reach where everything is finally okay, but you know better. Healing isn't arrival, it's transformation. It's the constant unraveling and reweaving of self. It's the courage to sit with your shadows and still choose love. It's the devotion to keep walking your path, even when no one else understands. And that is the mark of a dark chosen one, not just surviving the fire, but becoming the fire. Agunta, letting it shape you into a vessel of truth that can hold both the agony and the ecstasy of being alive. Now pause and ask yourself, what part of me have I still not allowed to burn? What would happen if I surrendered even that? The fire is not your enemy, it is your ally. It is the forge of your becoming, and though it may hurt, it will never lie to you, it will never lead you astray. It will only ever show you what is real. And if you can stand in it, not just once, but over and over again, you will emerge not just changed, but reborn. The forbidden gifts. Why your darkness is the key to your power. There's something the world doesn't want you to know. Something hidden not just by society, but by centuries of programming, by religions, by systems that depend on your obedience. The truth is this: your darkness is not your weakness, it is your gift. It is the gateway to powers that cannot be accessed through light alone, but because these powers threaten the status quo, they've been demonized, suppressed, exiled. You were told to fear your anger, your desire, your intuition, your wildness. You were taught to tame yourself, to make yourself digestible, to fit into boxes that were never made for you. But the deepest part of you never forgot. It waited, it watched, it endured, because it knew the time would come when you would awaken and remember who you are. There is something ancient inside you, something that has walked this earth long before this current life. You carry memories not just of this world, but of others, dimensions, timelines, realms that exist beyond logic. They are encoded in your dreams, in your instincts, in the way you see through people without trying. That's not imagination, that's memory. You are multidimensional by nature, and your darkness is the bridge that connects you to the parts of reality most people cannot perceive. You have gifts, empathic gifts, psychic gifts, energetic gifts that come alive not in the light, but in the shadows. And that's why your path has been so hard. Because to access them, you had to be broken open. The world told you to be positive, to stay high vibe, to think only light thoughts. But that was a trap, because real power doesn't come from bypassing pain, it comes from transmuting it. You had to descend into your own hell so you could collect the pieces of yourself hidden there. And with each descent, you gained access to a deeper layer of your being. This is the alchemy of the Dark Chosen One. We don't run from the shadow, we commune with it. We listen to its wisdom. We let it speak, because in the silence of our most painful moments, our true gifts are revealed. Not through force, but through surrender. Have you noticed how your presence affects people? How you can walk into a room and feel every unspoken tension, how people confess their secrets to you without knowing why? That is not coincidence. That is your gift at work. You are a mirror, a revealer. You don't just see people, you unmask them. And that is why some are drawn to you and others are terrified of you. Because your energy activates truth. Your very being calls out the lies people tell themselves. And in a world built on illusion, truth can be dangerous. But it's also liberating. And that is your role. Not to fix people, not to save them, but simply to be what you are. A living embodiment of the sacred shadow. But that gift comes with responsibility. You must learn how to protect your energy, how to discern between projection and intuition, how to stand in your power without absorbing the pain of everyone around you. This is not about isolation, It's about mastery. You were never meant to be a sponge. You were meant to be a conduit, a channel, a bridge between worlds. But to do that, you must stop fearing your own power. You must stop apologizing for your intensity. You must stop diluting yourself to make others comfortable. Your darkness is not too much. It is precisely what is needed. So, I ask you now, what are the gifts you've ignored because they scared you? What truths have you buried because they didn't fit the narrative you were told to believe? These are not rhetorical questions. They are keys, and only you can decide whether to pick them up, because stepping into your power is not a one-time act. It's a choice you make every day, a choice to trust your inner knowing over external approval, a choice to honor your rhythms even when they don't make sense to others, a choice to stop hiding and start embodying. The world is shifting, the veils are thinning, and the dark chosen ones are being called to rise not as saviors, but as reminders of what we lost, of what we buried, of what we feared. You are the embodiment of the sacred rebel, the soul renegade, the one who walks into the dark not to be consumed but to illuminate it from within. And that is a power greater than any institution, any dogma, any illusion of control. So do not run from your darkness. Do not silence it. Do not try to purify what was never impure. Instead, bow to it, bless it, listen to it, let it teach you, because it holds the codes of your liberation, and if you are brave enough to embrace it, you will unlock a level of power, wisdom, and clarity that can never be taken from you. The final descent, becoming the flame the world forgot it needed. There comes a point on this path where you stop trying to return to who you were. You stop mourning your old self, your old life, the comfort you once clung to, not because you no longer feel pain, but because something in you has awakened that cannot go back to sleep. You've descended too far, seen too much, felt too deeply. You've crossed thresholds that forever alter the chemistry of your soul. And in that depth, where most would drown, you discovered something eternal, something unshakable, yourself. Not the version of you shaped by fear or expectation, but the raw, wild, ancient self who remembers why you came here. And it's in that moment, standing in the ruins of who you were, that you realize you've become the flame the world forgot it needed. You didn't come here to be light in the way the world defines it, safe, soft, bright, and unthreatening. You came to embody a different kind of light, the light that emerges from the dark, the light forged in grief, in rage, in silence. A flame that does not ask for permission to burn, but simply does. And that's what the world has forgotten. That truth burns. That love is not always gentle. That awakening is a demolition before it is a resurrection. You are not here to decorate the world. You are here to change it. And change, real change, always begins in the dark. You've learned to walk alone, to face yourself where no one else could hold space for your truth. You've screamed in silence, wept in shadows, prayed with no words, and yet somehow you are still here, breathing, becoming, burning. That is not weakness, that is initiation. And now you carry a fire that cannot be extinguished, a fire that does not seek validation but vision. And though not everyone will understand you and some will fear you, you now understand yourself. And that is the liberation most never reach. But with this fire comes a new kind of responsibility, not the burden of saving others, but the devotion to embodying truth, no matter the cost. You are no longer just a seeker. You are a reminder. Your life, your presence, your energy. It speaks even when you say nothing. It tells others there is another way. One deeper, truer, fiercer, freer. And that is your final descent, not into more darkness, but into embodied truth, into living your wisdom, not just knowing it, into being unapologetically who you are, not because the world accepts you, but because you accept yourself. So now I ask you, what would it look like to live fully as the flame you've become? To stop negotiating your truth in exchange for belonging? To stop dimming your light just to be loved? What would it feel like to walk into every room knowing that the darkness you carry is not a curse, but a compass, a crown, a calling? You don't need to perform, you don't need to convince, you don't need to prove. You are, and your being is enough. In fact, it's exactly what this collapsing world needs most. Souls who have faced the fire, integrated their shadows, and emerged not with perfection, but with presence. Souls who are not afraid to tell the truth, to hold the paradox, to bring light into the darkest corners of existence, simply by being what they are. And perhaps now you see it clearly. You were never lost. You were always on the path, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt, because pain was the doorway and darkness was the teacher. And now you stand at the edge of a new life, a life not dictated by fear or pleasing or survival, but by soul, by fire, by truth. You are one of the dark chosen ones, not because you are better, but because you were willing to go where others would not, willing to feel what others numbed, willing to descend so that you could rise, not as someone new, but as someone real. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to remind, to awaken, to disrupt, to ignite. So go, be the flame, burn with wisdom, burn with love, burn with the truth that only darkness could teach you. The world may not be ready, but it never is. That's why you came first. That's why you were chosen, and now the real journey begins.